NXT is widely praised for its modern, realistic in-ring work, with its wrestlers heavily influenced by the stiff, strong style from Japan. But apparently, Vince McMahon's initial vision for the brand went one step further. He wanted them to fight IRL, Brawl for All style. Brawl for All was a shoot boxing tournament that happened in 1998 WWF, originally conceived to launch the career of Steve Williams. But because, wrestlers actually going in there to properly fight each other, that's kind of hard to book storylines around. And Williams' push came to an abrupt halt when Bart Gunn beat him in the second round. Thinking they had an actual legit fighter on their hands, WWE booked Gunn to fight actual professional boxer Butterbean at WrestleMania 15, where, unsurprisingly, Butterbean knocked him out in 35 seconds. Fans hated it, wrestlers hated it, Gunn was fired, and Jim Ross recently called Brawl for All the worst idea ever in his new book. So naturally, Vince wanted it back. This week's episode of the brilliant Vice documentary series Dark Side of the Ring covered the Brawl for All ridiculousness, which became just as much about Jim Cornette wanting to kill Vince Russo as anything else. And following the episode, former WWE creative writer John Piermarini took to Twitter, congratulating the producers who worked on the show, and revealed that Vince wanted Brawl for All Round 2, because it's too big for one night. Like everything else is. Funny story, while on Creative in either 2009 or 2010, Vince wanted to do another Brawl for All with the guys competing on NXT in its original format. He had to be talked out of it. This would have been for the debut series of NXT in 2010, which paid off with the main roster debuting Nexus faction, launching the WWE careers of Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, and future WWE champion Heath Slater. Come on, 3MB! Instead, WWE went the complete opposite way, opting for the wrestlers to compete in obstacle courses that included chugging a drink or cutting promos about cereal. Who do you think would have won a shoot wrestling tournament in NXT's original format? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. AEW have gone the more pro wrestling route for their tournaments, booking predetermined result matches that tell a story you can control. What a novel concept! But even the best laid long-term storytelling can be affected by shoot real-life events, brother. The TNT title tournament to crown AEW's inaugural mid-card champion is currently scheduled to conclude at Double or Nothing 2 on May 23rd, which should actually be called Quadruple or Nothing, quick maths. However, those plans might now have changed. The MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas, where AEW held last year's Double or Nothing 2, has cancelled all events until May 31st due to the ongoing Steve Corino crisis. This means the pay-per-view will most likely either be postponed or shifted to a television special. The rest of the tournament, excluding the finals, has already been pre-taped and will be broadcast across the next 5 weeks of Dynamite. But with the promotion reportedly not going ahead with any more tapings until the state stay-at-home orders are lifted, perhaps we won't just see Double or Nothing delayed, but also the TNT finals too. It remains to be seen whether AEW will want to just have the pay-per-view become a TV special, or break up the potential matches on the card across various episodes of Dynamite, much like NXT did with their TakeOver Tampa Bay matches, or try to do a WrestleMania and duct tape together a card. But now, back by popular demand, my big hairy balls! Now, before we get on with the rest of the news, the guys said they wanted to talk to me about something pretty serious, something they say I've been putting off for far too long, and I think I know what they're going to tell me to finally shave. My big hairy balls!
That is not what we are telling you to shave at all.
My big hairy balls, Laurie! And I'm going to do it with this episode's sponsor, Manscaped, the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Their all-in-one manscaping kit, the Perfect Package 3.0, makes male grooming safe and easy, with a waterproof electric trimmer to bushwhack in the bath, ergonomic cordless design, advanced skin-safe technology, and a load of great add-ons. And if you become become a subscriber, you get even more, with replacement blades delivered to your door, 20% off, free shipping, and not just one, but 2 free gifts when you use our code WrestleTalk on your Perfect Package 3.0 purchase at manscaped.com. The Shed travel bag and a pair of Manscaped's high-performance anti-chafing boxer briefs. I'm actually wearing some right now, and boy howdy, they're keeping it nice and cool down there. Please click the link in the video description below and at least check Manscaped out, as it really helps support us here at WrestleTalk and my big hairy balls. Your balls will thank you. And now Manscaped offers free international shipping to the US, Canada, Australia, and right here in the UK. Big hairy balls worldwide. Compulsory reminder that Titus O'Neil once kissed his son on the lips. Speaking of shaving balls, Big Show has a shaved head, and he technically main evented WrestleMania on Sunday. Nailed that segue. But why? This week's episode of Raw saw the return of The Big Show, who turned heel, unless he was heel already, I lose track of these things, and challenged new WWE champion Drew McIntyre to a title match, which was actually taped just 20 minutes after Drew beat Lesnar. PW Insider is reporting the whole idea behind this segment was to make McIntyre look really strong, as he was able to beat Big Show so soon after beating Brock Lesnar, overcoming 2 of WWE's biggest wrestlers back to back. Which is also why this match took place at WrestleMania and not live on Raw. What even is time anymore? I'm sure this had absolutely nothing to do with Big Show's new Netflix show, The Big Show Show. But does Big Show appearing on a big show make it the Big Show Show? I don't know, but here's the 8th of April 2020 episode of AEW Quarantine in about 4 or 5 minutes. With 64-year-old Jake the Snake Roberts in self-isolation, AEW took the minimalist approach to his promos, just sitting him on a chair, in a room, on his own, and letting him talk very, very quietly to be very, very scary. His cold open promo went straight into Lance Archer squashing enhancement talent Alan Eagles, which did its job well, but this, and in fact, everything on this show was massively enhanced by my new favorite commentator in wrestling, Chris Jericho. He joined Tony Schiavone for the whole night and somehow put every single person over, even people he's feuding with right now, while making fun of the baby faces and ridiculously talking himself and the heels up. I've said it before, Jericho could be a Jerry Lawler level color commentator when he winds down his in-ring career. The good version of Jerry Lawler, that is, from like 19 years ago when he used to care and could shout about boobs. Speaking of boob, now that's a terrible segue, AEW might have finally figured out its women's division. Build it around Hikaru Shida, who's been my favorite since Dynamite began, and Britt Baker, who in turning heel has completely connected as a character. This was all about jockeying for the top spot in the women's rankings to get a shot at Nyla Rose, with Shida having won 7 out of her last 8 matches. The action was terrifically back and forth already, and then Baker busted open her nose Becky Lynch at Survivor Series 2018 style, covering her face in blood, which is hopefully a glimpse of the next stage in Britt's heel character. Demented Marathon Woe Man Dentist. Shida might have won, but Baker looked fantastic coming out of this too. AEW smartly filled a lot of this episode with very high quality video packages, mainly building the night's Cody Rhodes vs Shawn Spears main event, and next week's Jake Hager vs Jon Moxley no holds barred empty arena match for the AEW title. And then, taking a cue from Monty Python in more ways than one, it was time for something completely different. AEW had arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world wrestle a comedy tag match without his tag team champion partner, with baby oil, thongs, and Orange Cassidy all over the right to be called the best friends. I love comedy wrestling, but Michael Nakazawa's act just isn't for me. And I know it's all light entertainment fun, but Orange Cassidy, who wasn't in the match, did a dive on Omega right in front of referee Aubrey Edwards. You make my AEW bias really hard when you don't obey the rules, Tony! The actual best friends of Trent and Chucky won, which is the right result. As Don Callis tweeted, a great tag team should always win against 2 great great singles, like how Hangman Page and Omega overcame the Young Bucks at Oh my god damn it, Tony! Brody Lee is picking apart AEW one dress code at a time, dressing down two minions for not wearing suits. Another reference to Brody's Vince McMahon character inspiration. I'm really enjoying Brody, but it has come at the expense of the original Dark Order vision. And if Brody was always the exalted one leader, why weren't more of them wearing suits from the start? Mr. Brody Lee, as he insists on being called, then squashed enhancement talent Lee Johnson. Broken Matt Damascus Hardy, I've lost track of who's in who here, then challenged the Inner Circle to an elite deletion match at his compound. It'll be interesting to see if Hardy's broken universe vision holds up in a post-Boneyard world, especially with Matt's broken collaborator Jeremy Borash now working for WWE. And the main event was a cracking clash between Cody and Shawn, who picked up their rivalry from last summer as soon as the bell rang, having 20 minutes of guardrail suplexes and Cody being thrown over the top rope through a table outside. Rhodes fired up to hit two crossroads on Shawn for a near fall, further devaluing that finisher, but then had a really cool finish by pinning Spears in a figure four. What did you think of this week's Dynamite? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere, and click the eye above my head to give your rating. This was another really solid episode of AEW. I absolutely loved the Baker versus Shida match, and Jericho's commentary genuinely raised every match by about half a star. This week's Dynamite is a high middle of the roads. Because of my rampant AEW bias / not being physically able to watch two whole wrestling shows in time to record these videos, you can watch the full NXT TakeOver level episode review later today on WrestleTalk with Laurie and Pete. Remember to enable notifications to always on to know when that goes live. And please check out manscaped.com using our links in the video description below, as it really helps us out. Luke Owen has broken down every Easter egg from John Cena and Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 36. Click the video on the right to learn stuff. And Adam Blompier's new wrestling game show, Quizzlemania, had its second episode on Parts Unknown last night, with special guest Larson from Going In Raw. Click the video below that to watch me lose again. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.